The text message from my mother illuminated my phone screen at precisely 2:47 a.m. Return home at once, your sister requires your presence. I fixated on those words until they seared into my mind. These words burned into my retinas, causing my hands to tremble with a familiar blend of fury and resignation. My name is Ardeline, and I have dedicated 25 years to being the responsible and reliable someone that consistently fulfills commitments. Running when summoned this evening was intended to be distinct. I was commemorating my aspiration is to become a senior marketing director at one of New York's premier agencies. Allow her to sabotage this for you, Natasha remarked, passing another glass of champagne across the table. We were the final patrons remaining at the bar. Our previous celebration with colleagues having diminished to just us. You have exerted some effort for this. I took a prolonged sip, allowing the bubbles to effervesce in opposition to my tongue. You fail to comprehend that Willow is likely experiencing another bout of weeping. Previously, it was due to her indecision on which luxury apartment to lease using her father's funds. Since her partner ended the relationship due to her excessive demands. And your mother anticipates you should abandon all else and rectify it. Natasha's tone was laden with displeasure. I accessed my mother's contact information, my hand poised over the call button. Like I had always done, Natasha seized my phone. I wished she would at least wait until morning. But I understood the calls persisted, and my mother's voice grew progressively more urgent until I acquiesced and dialed her number. Finally, my mother's voice came through the speaker, inquiring about my whereabouts. Your sister's employer is undergoing downsizing, and she may lose her entry-level employment. Devastated, I pushed my fingers to my temple. Mom? It is the middle of the night. What do you expect me to do about it? You must return home immediately to assist her in securing new employment and to provide support with her residence. Hunting for a new lease is due next month, and you are aware of how overwhelmed she becomes with paperwork. Mom? I cannot. I have just accepted that I will commence my position in New York in 3 weeks. The stillness on the other line was palpable. Her voice was thunderous and ice-cold when she spoke again, declaring that you are prioritizing a career over your family. Is not merely a job. Mom, it constitutes my career and my future. I have invested years into this endeavor. Your sister requires your presence for this occasion. Family takes precedence. As always. Ardeline. She paused, and I could almost visualize her lips pursing in displeasure. Nevertheless, there are several in Chicago. There are marketing employment opportunities available locally. I captured Natasha's attention from across the room. She was shaking her head forcefully, saying, No. Mom? I am not returning. At this juncture, you leave me with no alternative. My mother's tone became stern. Either you return home to assist your sister, or you face the consequences. You may regard yourself as no longer a member of this family. The words struck me with the force of a physical blow. Are you truly asserting this? Present me with an ultimatum. I am being pragmatic. Your father and I have provided you with assistance throughout college, assisted you in securing your first apartment. And this is how you reciprocate, by forsaking your sister in her time of need. I wanted to yell to tell her that I had worked 3 jobs during college while Willow had a scholarship. That I had reimbursed every cent they had assisted me with while my sister continued to utilize their credit cards at the age of 22. Instead, I gently stated that I would consider it and terminated the call as Natasha extended her arm the table and grasped my hand. You understand what you must do, correct? I nodded. A strategy is gradually taking shape in my thoughts. I will not return. Yet I will also refrain from proceeding. What do you mean by fighting over it? I retrieved my laptop, and the champagne was overlooked. I am seeking a one-way ticket to New York for tomorrow. Without any disputes or dramatic confrontations, I will leave them a letter, Natasha said. You are truly accomplishing it. Observe. I swiftly typed on the keyboard to book the flight. After 25 years, the family doormat promotion concludes tonight. As I completed the purchase, my phone buzzed again with a text from Willow. Addie, please return home. I am uncertain how I will manage without you. For the first time in my life, I am at a loss. I started a new document and commenced typing. Dear Mom, Dad, and Willow. The words now flowed effortlessly, as years of repressed emotions finally emerged. They would awaken tomorrow to discover my absence. Tomorrow, I must confront the repercussions of my actions. My new life will commence. But tonight I have a letter to attend to. The sun had not yet risen when I completed the letter. My hands trembled as I sealed the envelope. All of life's problems distilled into 3 pages of stark honesty. I urged Natasha to read it. Accompanied me throughout the night. Inform me if it is too severe. As she revealed the pages, he continued reading aloud. Dear Mom, Dad, and Willow, by the time you read this, I will be en route to New York. I acknowledge this is not the desired outcome. But I am unable to go otherwise. I continually sacrifice my well-being for the comfort of others. Mother, you have always asserted that family is paramount. Although your intentions were never genuine, the entire family supported Willow. When I worked 3 jobs during college, I was deemed selfish for not having time to assist her with her homework following my initial promotion. Which you disregarded. Willow was experiencing difficulties with a male that seemingly required my urgent attention, Dad. Your silence has been equally significant. Harmful are the demands of my mother. You observed my struggles and sacrifices. Your unwavering support for Willow, coupled with your passive acceptance of this dynamic, rendered you complicit. And you never once advocated for me. Willow, I love you. But at 22 years old, it is time to mature and address your issues. Emergencies that necessitate others to abandon their lives reflect your incapacity. Managing fundamental adult obligations is no longer endearing. It is draining. I am not undertaking this to bring harm to any of you. Rather, I am prioritizing myself. For the first time in my life, I have taken a position in New York and signed a lease for an apartment. I am beginning anew. Do not attempt to induce remorse. Do not attempt to persuade me with threats of severing ties. I have been self-sufficient since the age of 18. Will change. Except that I will finally be liberated to live my own life. If you desire to pursue a relationship with me moving forward, it must proceed on equal terms. I will no longer entertain any expectations that I will relinquish all for Willow. No more guilt trips. No more ultimatums. I pray that one day you will comprehend, love. Ardeline. Natasha gazed up from the letter, her eyes wide, exclaiming, Holy Ardeline. I have successfully zipped my suitcase, which is already packed with the necessities. All remaining items will be transported at a later date. You do not believe it is excessive, it is precisely adequate. She assisted me in transporting my belongings as she loads things into her car. Are you certain you do not wish for me to drive you to the airport? No. I will take an Uber. You have already assisted me. Staying up with me all night was more than plenty. The journey to my parents' place was weird in the pre-dawn darkness. Natasha, I parked a block away with the headlights off, exited the vehicle with the letter in hand, and observed our family house. The garden, which Mother diligently kept, exuded a peacefulness that was almost mocking. Particularly on the porch, the swing where Willow spent hours on her phone, behind her father's impeccably washed car in the driveway, was precisely as it appeared. I had always placed the letter on the kitchen counter for Mom to discover during her morning coffee routine. My palm hesitated on the envelope for a moment before I compelled myself to move on. I turned aside as my phone vibrated with another text from Willow. Eddie. Why aren't you? Responding to my mother's distress on my decision to turn off my phone throughout the Uber ride I was waiting. When I returned to Natasha's car, she embraced me tightly, whispering, You are making the right decision. Call me. Upon arrival at the airport, everything transpired in a blur. Security, coffee, and waiting. Upon reaching the gate, it was only after I secured my seatbelt that the gravity of the situation struck me with full intensity. Would you care for something? To the flight attendant's voice jolted me back to reality. Water, please. My voice sounded peculiar to my own ears as the jet ascended. I envisioned my mother discovering the letter. Initially, she would be upset, then hurt, then would promptly contact Willow to console her. The father would read it calmly, possibly experiencing a pang of guilt. However, finally yielding to Mother's response and envisioning Willow's expression, she crumpled upon realizing her safety net was absent. A part of me ached for her. Yet the more resilient aspect experienced an immense sense of relief as the city vanished behind the clouds, taking with it 25 years of existence. Everyone's emotional support system. My phone remained off in my bag, accumulating dust. I was unprepared to confront missed calls and irate messages during my initial visit to New. The older woman next to me said sweetly, York. I responded with a little shake of my head. I smile. As it is my inaugural visit to remain there now that the sun has finally emerged observing the horizon. The vivid oranges and pinks adorning the clouds evoked a profound feeling within me. An occurrence I had not encountered in years. I hope whatever transpires next. Whatever it may be, a storm has just erupted. But at least I was finally navigating my own course. The die was cast, there was no turning back. New York struck me like a cacophony of sound and color, 3 weeks into my new existence. And I remained incredulous. I had indeed accomplished it. My little studio apartment in Brooklyn was markedly different from my vast room at home, where every square inch was rightfully mine. Was acquired through my own efforts, finances customized to my personal preference and blissfully devoid of familial obligations. My new boss, Miguel, stuck his head into my office and asked if I had a minute. Swiftly reduced my email, which contained 37 unread messages from my mother, 12 from my father, and 63 additional messages. Willow's workplace, naturally, afforded a view of Manhattan that remained breathtaking. He waved for me to sit. The Johnson campaign presentation was breathtaking. The client appreciated your innovative perspective, thank you. However, he raised a concern. It appears you are distracted. Is everything all right? I paused. As Miguel had been nothing but supportive since my inception, however, I maintained my personal life confidential at work, adapting to urban life while evading communications from Chicago. He smiled with understanding. The phone has been vibrating throughout meetings all week. Is it apparent only to someone who had the identical situation 2 decades ago? He reclined in his chair and departed Puerto Rico. Contrary to my family's desires, they refrained from communicating with me for 2 years. How did you manage it? By recalling the reasons for my departure. Speaking of which, he presented a file. I am presenting to Nike next week. And I felt a surge of excitement. Are you serious? That is significant. You have rightfully earned it. He merely gestured at my phone. The situation was once again chaotic. Address the issue and regain your composure. Upon arriving at my office, I finally activated my phone's sound and instantly received a voicemail from Willow, imploring Addie, her voice laden with sorrow. I lost my job, they stated. I have missed numerous deadlines, and my mother is insisting that I return home. But I am unable to do so. I require your assistance. Please return my call. I accidentally clicked delete. My palm trembled as another voicemail commenced. It was Adeline Gibson's mother's voice. Your sister is deteriorating, and you are pursuing a career in New York. How could you forsake your family in such a manner? This letter was harsh and self-serving. Call me back quickly. My phone rang. Natasha's face eventually appeared on the screen. It was a call I was eager to answer. As your sister had just arrived at my location, she inquired about the apartment without any preamble, questioning why I was searching for you, clearly indicating her intent. Adeline's decision to wear pajama pants in public with mascara all over her face led to her dismissal this time. I truly dropped into my chair. It is no longer my concern. Yet I am aware of Natasha. She expressed hesitation, stating that she has been experiencing panic episodes, suggesting that we may have been excessively harsh. I composed the letter independently. You understand my intent. I motivated you because you have witnessed my prolonged sacrifice for them. I was nearly shouting now. She explained the reasons for her termination, missed deadlines and ongoing turmoil. However, allow me to elaborate further. She devoted more time to Instagram than to her career and reported sick whenever she experienced an unfavorable date. Anticipated that others would compensate for her, just as she presumed I would rectify all other aspects of her life. The sound of my door startled me. Miguel stood there, concern engraved on his face. I lowered my, I must leave. Natasha, please do not allow her to manipulate you into divulging my information. She inquired rapidly about your father, mentioning that Hune has been inquiring about you. My father had 25 years to advocate for me. His guilt is not my obligation. I hung up and turned to Miguel, apologizing as he took a seat across from me upon my departure from home. I initially believed I was merely fleeing. It took me years to comprehend that I was, in fact, escaping. Did your family ultimately comprehend the pursuit of something superior? Albeit only partially upon ceasing my efforts to make them comprehend. He tapped the Nike file. Occasionally, the most effective retribution is success. My phone buzzed again with a text from Willow, revealing that you are employed at Marshall and Brooks presume that family holds little significance in comparison to a corner office. I sent the message to Miguel, she is making an effort to locate me. Seek my counsel, concentrate entirely on the Nike presentation. Success serves as the ultimate boundary, demonstrating that you are flourishing independently. I have rectified my posture. May I review the brief once more? I became engrossed in my work, and my phone incessantly buzzed with messages from home. The initial instance in which remorse was eclipsed by a more potent emotion, determination, induces panic, compelling them to confront their own challenges. I had difficulties, yet the Nike pitch presentation was successful. Hardly had I time to celebrate before Natasha's frantic call arrived. Your mother appeared at my workplace today, she expressed, her voice taut with fear. Ardeline. I am becoming desperate. I was strolling returning home from the metro. The city's evening buzz envelops me. What was her intention? What do you believe? She is attempting to manipulate me into disclosing your address? However, that is not the most concerning aspect. Natasha hesitated. Willow is experiencing a downward spiral. She totaled her car last week. I ceased communication with her. Was she injured? No, only her pride and her father's credit card. She was texting while operating the vehicle. But here is your parents declined to purchase her a new one. I leaned against Mom and Dad have declined Willow's request, citing financial constraints. Your father's business is struggling. And with Willow returning home, my phone, I received another incoming call. Mom? I must leave now. Natasha. Thank you informed me that I responded to my mother's call. Preparing myself, and eventually hearing her voice. Was distinct, less authoritative, and more tense. Adeline. We must discuss what you have inflicted upon our family. I responded with disbelieving laughter. I made a career decision. Mother, I did not issue ultimatums. Your sister is deteriorating and has had to return home. She is experiencing anxiety attacks after seeking employment. Is that your intention? I grasped my phone more firmly. I desired to lead my own life without becoming Willow's constant contingency as your sister and your daughter. My voice reverberated off the buildings, capturing the attention of passers-by. Although we were strangers, you never expressed concern for my concerns while I was juggling 3 jobs in college. Even when I had to cancel my commitments, continuous plans to rescue Willow were interrupted by a prolonged stillness. After which Mother said once more. Her voice was subdued, we require your return home. Albeit briefly assist her in regaining stability, nevertheless. Ardeline. Your father's enterprise is facing difficulties, and we cannot provide her with the same level of support as before previously relied upon. Now that you can no longer enable her, you desire my intervention. I have commenced walking at an accelerated pace is not feasible. Mother, you are being I am not selfish, I am achieving success. Having recently secured the most significant account of my career, I possess my own residence and life, for the first time. I am prioritizing myself, and it is proving effective. Another pause follows. Your statement. Father wants to converse with you, his voice emerged. As per usual. With hesitation. Princess. We miss you. My steps wavered. Father had not referred to me as princess since I was a young father. I recognize our mistakes and acknowledge that I should have contributed more and communicated more effectively then. Why did you not do it? It was simpler to avoid conflict. However, observing what transpired, it has been imposed upon you and all of us. He exhaled deeply. Willow must acquire the ability to be self-reliant. She is now standing on her own, however. She remains unaware of this fact. It is not my concern. Responsibility lies with us. We have failed both of you in distinct manners. Cracked. Please do not sever our connection entirely. I have arrived at my apartment building. I require time and space to establish my own existence without experiencing guilt. I comprehend the situation, but it is humbling regarding my keys. Ardeline. I commend you on your strength in departing and achieving success. I should have expressed that years ago. Tears welled in my eyes. Thank you, Dad. After hanging up, I sat down on the doorstep of my building, allowing the cacophony of the city to envelop me. The phone vibrated with a message from Willow. Everyone is angry with me. And it's all your fault. I despise you. Minutes later. I apologize. I do not harbor animosity against you. I simply lack the knowledge to navigate this situation in your absence. I began to type but subsequently deleted it. Ultimately, you will realize that you possess greater strength than you perceive. I powered down my phone and ascended to my flat. Where the Nike contract was on my desk, I awaited the signing of my first significant client in my role as lead director. Adjacent to it was a framed photograph that Natasha had captured the night prior. My visage radiating with resolve, the child in the photo, despite her terror, proceeded with determination. She now warranted my undivided attention, rather than the incessant distractions amidst the turmoil at home. My laptop notified me with an email from Miguel stating that Nike appreciates your concepts. Tomorrow's meal is to celebrate. I smiled and affirmed. Allowing Willow to make arrangements, she prioritized her own life, allowing her parents to confront the repercussions of their decisions. While she had a celebration to organize, a knock on my apartment door occurred at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was unprepared. My heart nearly ceased when I peered through the peephole. Willow stood there with mascara streaked down her cheeks, clutching a fancy luggage that likely exceeds my rent. She yelled out, "I know you're in there." With the lights on, I inhaled deeply and opened the door. "How did you discover my address?" "I contacted every real estate agent in Brooklyn until I located one who recalled you." She forcefully moved past me into the flat. "Is a pleasant location, if somewhat compact. What brings you here?" "Willow," she dropped her luggage with a bang. "My parents are being unreasonable. They have frozen my credit cards, compelling me to apply for employment opportunities. And my father recommended that I choose a barista position. Barista." I crossed my arms in dread. "Do not be sarcastic, this is severe." She slumped onto my couch. "I considered staying with you temporarily till I resolved the situation. We are unequivocally sisters." "Addie. The precise reason for your inability to remain here." I continue to stand while preserving distance. "Willow, you consistently generate turmoil and then anticipate others to rectify it. This is unjust." "What about my concerns during college graduation? You experienced a crisis due to your boyfriend's disapproval of your dress, compounded by your mother's insistence. Skip the ceremony to take you shopping. I was young then, you were 19. I worked well for that degree. Yet I was unable to walk across the stage because of your craving for attention, causing Willow's lower lip to shake. Why are you exhibiting such unkindness?" "I am not being unkind, I am being forthright. I occupied the chair. Do you know what I was doing when Mom called that night, insisting I return home to assist you?" She shook her head. "I was celebrating securing this position, the most significant opportunity of my career. Yet my mother anticipated that I would relinquish it because you might have to face repercussions for once in your life." "I didn't ask her to do that." "No. You never directly inquire of Willow, you merely weep in distress till someone resolves all your issues." She rose suddenly and began to pace in a compact living room. "What options do I have? Am I to reside with my parents indefinitely, while working? We expect baristas to mature, secure employment, and acquire management skills. Cease relying on others to resolve your issues. It is simple for you to assert this. I have consistently been the exemplary and responsible individual due to necessity. Rose, do you believe I desired to work 3 jobs in college to forfeit social engagements and romantic pursuits were neglected as I was preoccupied with being your contingency?" Prompting Willow to cease her pacing, her expression contorting in distress. "I was unaware that you did not consider others, as your focus has always been solely on yourself." My phone vibrated with a text from Miguel regarding tomorrow's meeting in the real world. "My new existence necessitates your departure," I stated emphatically. "Return home, Willow, and confront your issues directly." Mother was correct. She murmured, "You have transformed, you are now distant." "No. I am merely finished being everyone's safety net." Approached the door and opened it. "You may opt to stay in a hotel tonight if you wish, but you will not be staying here." Seized her suitcase, tears streaming uncontrollably. "I believed you loved me." "I do. I love you, that is why I will no longer enable you." At the door, she looked around. "What if I am unable to accomplish it? What if I fail? You will learn from the experience and attempt again. That is the behavior exhibited by adults." After her departure, I remained seated on my couch, trembling, while my phone displayed 3 missed calls. Mom has already called. It is evident that Willow contacted her. I sent an SMS to Natasha. "Willow has just arrived at my apartment. she responded instantly.
Holy.
You. Indeed. I dispatched her. And now I feel like a monster, yet. You are not a monster imparting the lesson that your parents neglected. I surveyed my modest yet personal abode.
Financed via my own efforts, money adorned with my personal aesthetic rested on my desk next to the Nike contract, a stack of various projects.
My new life constructed according to my own specifications. Prompted my phone to ring once more.
Mother.
I have fully switched it off. Tomorrow. I have a meeting to attend. Prepare for tomorrow. I will continue to advance my job and independence for the first time in her life.
Willow would have to construct her own future. The future may have been the most significant gift I could offer her.
Even if she was unable to perceive it 2 months subsequent to Willow's unexpected visit.
Natasha's weekly update call delivered unforeseen news. Your sister secured employment.
She stated, her voice revealed surprise, causing me to nearly drop my coffee. What type of job? She is a receptionist at a dental practice and has been employed there for 3 weeks. I have already seated myself at my kitchen counter.
Are you joking? No. Your mother has been expressing grievances to all that it is beneath Willow while your sister consistently attends daily.
I found it challenging to comprehend this information. How do you possess such
knowledge? I encountered the Starbucks.
She was on her lunch break. Dressed in a variety of clothes. She's not different. My phone beeped with another call from Miguel. I must leave.
Natasha, I work.
Contact Adeline. Miguel's tone was grave.
Can you arrive at the office immediately?
20 minutes later. I sat in his office, gazing at him in bewilderment regarding Paris. The Nike campaign was so effective that they want us to manage their European launch for 3 months in Paris. Heading the team, I leaned forward. It represents a significant opportunity next week, of which I am aware. Suddenly, my phone illuminated with a text from Dad stating, "Please call. Emergency." I disregarded it. I will proceed with it.
Are you certain?
It is a significant decision, even if only for a short duration.
Another message from Dad. I need to discuss my health. My hand became immobilized during the phone call.
Which Miguel observed, is everything satisfactory?
I am uncertain. May I take an hour outside Miguel's office? He referred to Dad as Princess. His voice was feeble.
I experienced a heart attack yesterday.
And the whole, why did no one contact me earlier?
Your mother intended to. But circumstances prevented it. I requested her to wait until I could speak to you directly. He paused to catch his breath. It was a little interruption. I am fine.
But there is additional information. What do you mean by the business?
I have been struggling for months. And the stress is overwhelming. The physicians advise that I should take a step back. Dad.
Willow has been exceptional. He provided she has been assisting with paperwork and acquiring fundamental knowledge of the firm.
She aspires to manage operations while I sat down forcefully on an adjacent chair while Willow managed the business. Adeline has undergone a transformation. This wake-up call of losing you compelled her to mature. Your mother is having difficulty accepting it. But Willow is rising to the occasion. My throat constricted. Do you understand? I do not require your presence at home. My dear.
That is the reason I delayed my call. I did not wish for you to feel obligated, abandoning all else and hastily returning. He managed with a small cough. Willow asserted her determination to manage everything independently. Stating it was time for her to assume responsibility, I brushed away unexpected tears.
Who are you?
And what have you done with my family?
He chuckled. Then became serious. I have neglected you for an extended period. Adeline.
Allowing you to bear the burden of others' responsibilities. I recognize that now.
Dad. However.
Please allow me to complete my thought. Your departure has compelled us all. Your mother is still adapting.
But she is making an effort. And Willow sounded, she is proud to be becoming the individual she could have always been. Had we not coddled her excessively? The doorway. Tapping his watch. Dad. I must leave. I am currently engaged in something. I will work. But I will call in the evening. Certainly.
Pursue your success. We are fine here. I re-entered Miguel's office.
My thoughts in disarray. Is everything all right? He said. My father had a heart attack.
Prioritize family over all else. I have rectified my focus on Jesus and dismissed distractions. My sister is managing the situation.
And for the first time, I genuinely believe in her capability.
I have considered Willow as well. Scrubs attending work daily. Willow acquiring knowledge of the family enterprise. Willow is maturing. I am certain I retrieved the Paris contract.
Where do I proceed from here that night?
I called Natasha to inform her about Paris. She shouted with pleasure but then became solemn. Over your mother contacted me today regarding your father. I am aware of the heart attack.
But not that she requested that I convey her apology, she explicitly used those words. I remained silent.
Allowing it to resonate, she has been consulting a therapist to address her control issues.
Natasha paused. About individuals I can change. Ardeline.
I remarked softly while gazing at my packed suitcase for Paris. I am beginning to suspect that my phone vibrated with a message from Willow regarding Paris.
Congratulations, I genuinely mean it. For the first time since my departure, I sensed a shift. But not precisely forgiveness. However,
it is conceivable that we all needed to discover our individual routes to maturity. Paris was everything I had envisioned and beyond. But my father's second heart attack necessitated my return home after merely 6 hours. After waiting for weeks outside her hospital room,
I barely noticed my sister, a business professional, typing rapidly on her laptop about the insurance company. It's challenging, Willow remarked without raising her gaze. But I have it under control. When was the last time you slept?
She finally met my eyes. Dark circles were conspicuous beneath her makeup. On Tuesday.
Perhaps indicating my attempt to escape the business arrangement involves insurance and coordination with my father's physicians. But my mother is not involved. She is struggling to cope.
Where is she?
In the cafeteria.
She engages in stress baking. Presently nurses are becoming fatigued with her mother's muffins. I sat alongside her. The doctors indicated that he needed bypass surgery. Triple bypass. Her voice faltered slightly.
The firm is facing difficulties, and the insurance has a substantial deductible.
I have been reviewing the records to identify a potential solution. The medical bills I proposed elicited an immediate response from Willow. You have yours.
Living in Paris. I possess this, Willow.
I assure you.
Hattie.
I am not as powerless as you see. The girl no longer exists. She displayed her laptop screen, indicating that she had already restructured it. Some of my father's business loans identified methods to reduce expenses without terminating any employees. I need to ascertain the insurance position. My mother arrived with a basket of muffins but halted abruptly upon seeing me. Ardeline.
You are present.
Naturally.
I am here. She placed the muffins down and embraced them. I uncomfortably expressed that I hadn't considered your significant position in Paris. Dad, her eyes brimmed with tears.
I apologize for everything. I recognize it is too late. But, Mom. Willow interrupted the surgeon as he elucidated the operation risks and recovery duration. Mother began to weep once more.
As Willow documented her observations, I observed each of them, feeling as though I had entered an alternative reality. The procedure is scheduled for tomorrow morning.
As agreed by the doctor, a familiar voice behind us stated that any queries regarding the insurance Willow initiated are approved. We turned to find Miguel standing there,
appearing out of place in his designer suit. What are you doing here? I said, addressing the insurance matter.
He presented Willow with some documents. The company's international health coverage includes the immediate family of employees on overseas assignments. Recall the date when you took the employment in Paris.
Willow examined the documents, her hand trembling. This pertains to the coverage.
All aspects of the surgery and recovery were initiated by me. Although Miguel intervened, the Paris team may manage operations for a few additional weeks. Prioritize your responsibilities after he departed.
My mother turned to me and remarked,
He appears pleasant. He is my superior. Traveled from Paris to assist with your father's insurance. She raised an eyebrow. Individuals do not engage in such behavior solely for employees. Let us concentrate on Willow's return to her duties. We must prepare for Dad's recuperation. He will require home care and physical therapy,
which I will manage.
Mom, I stated softly that I have been conversing with a therapist and acquiring skills for personal development. More engaged, less domineering. The mother is now preparing meals. Willow incorporated actual meals instead of solely engaging in stress baking. And I inquired about Willow's well-being. She closed her laptop, afraid and overwhelmed by the situation. However,
for the first time in my life,
I am confident in my ability to manage challenges despite my fear.
Your sister has emerged as a formidable businesswoman. As my mother said with pride at times. It evokes thoughts of you. However, Willow shook her head,
stating, I am no longer attempting to emulate Ardeline, I am striving to be myself.
Father was conscious upon our entrance into his room.
He smiled faintly at my daughters. The procedure has been approved for the three of you together.
And Willow informed him that all arrangements are in place. I never questioned you for a moment, lover. He turned to me. Para is treating you nicely, it can wait. I said the family takes precedence. Mother recoiled at her own words being distorted. Yet father just smiled.
No.
Princess.
Family comes first. It doesn't mean abandoning yourself, it signifies mutual assistance throughout collective growth. He grasped my hand and urged me to proceed, returning to Paris post-surgery.
We are prepared.
Observing Willow's serene assurance and my mother's gentler demeanor upon seeing Dad's smug smile,
I saw that he was correct. This was not the household I had escaped over the past months. We have all evolved,
matured,
and learned to be self-sufficient while providing support to one another, interacting in more beneficial manners.
I concur.
But I will remain till you are having recovered from surgery. Willow stated. Now let us discuss your marketing.
The business requires innovative concepts. We dedicated the night to strategizing,
conversing, and genuinely listening to one another, although it was not flawless. It represented advancement. And at times,
that suffices. Upon my arrival at Gibson & Gibson Marketing, Willow greeted me at the entrance of my father's renovated office building. Do you believe I gazed at the modern glass entryway and the sleek new logo, the bustling staff visible through the windows? I scarcely recognize it. Wait until she guides me through.
Proudly highlighting the modifications we have made, we have doubled our client base since the implementation of your marketing methods.
My father primarily works from home today, however.
He attends significant meetings. And mother has initiated her own catering enterprise, which has proven to be successful. Willow chuckled, pointing out that stress baking has a positive aspect, as she excels at it. In the main conference room, father occupied the head of the table,
appearing healthier than I had observed him in years. There is my Paris director.
But not anymore. Corrected.
Hugging him, New York's home base is now Paris.
Which is merely a quarterly visit regarding New York. Willow retrieved a folder and stated, I have a proposal for you. I wish to establish a branch in New York. My father and I discussed it. And she reacted thoughtfully. I blinked in surprise as Dad requested that we run it as equal partners with your sister's concepts and your marketing acumen. You would be invincible.
Miguel.
I've already secured employment. Willow smiled knowingly and asked Miguel.
Who do you think approached us?
Regarding a prospective merger.
Dad's eyes sparkled at the mention of Marshall & Brooks's New York. The office merged with Gibson & Gibson,
resulting in a unified operation in which I participated after conversing with Miguel for several months. Willow sat beside me and said, Look. No, our history is complicated. But we're not the same people anymore.
I'm not asking you to save me or Mendy. Request that you be my partner with equal stakes. What about the responsibility towards Mom?
Won't she have expectations?
She is preoccupied with her catering business. The firm interferes.
Although my father chuckled, she insists on supplying food for all our clients. Miguel sent a message to my phone during a meeting, asking if you had received the plan yet.
Even though you were already aware, I responded by asking who they believed made the suggestion, indicating that they have surpassed the role of a mere employee and should now focus on creating something substantial. Willow observed me anxiously,
acknowledging the considerable factors to contemplate as I interrupted her.
Her expression brightened as she retrieved the spreadsheet sheets. We dedicated hours to analyzing projections,
debating tactics,
and building upon them. This was not the previous dynamic of me resolving her issues. It was a genuine mutual exchange of ideas. Collaboration is contingent on the stipulation that we retain the offices I operate in New York.
While you operate in Chicago, we collaborate yet maintain independence. She had already planned for independence, which prompted her to retrieve another draft document. When did you become absolutely autonomous under a partnership agreement that is entirely equal? Upon recognizing my proficiency in the corporate realm. She smiled, revealing that I merely needed to discover my own path rather than being compelled to follow another's.
My father stood up. This warrants a celebration. My mother has been stress baking all morning in anticipation of a response, which I have yet to affirm. However, Willow mocked.
I observed your expression while you were reviewing those projections. You are involved.
She was right. The stats were strong. The approach was sound. And the opportunity was great. But more than that,
the dynamic seemed appropriate. A healthy mother awaited at their residence with an elaborate array of food. Provide sustenance for an army. We require a New York office warming celebration.
I stated. Embraced me, murmuring, I am immensely proud of the individual you have become and the assistance you have provided to us all. Mother is becoming nostalgic, Willow stage whispered. Quick! Someone assist her. We all laughed effortlessly and organically.
Devoid of any underlying tension, a notification on my phone shattered the tension that had characterized our family reunions for an extended period. Miguel. We're celebrating dinner tonight as your previous employer and...
perhaps something beyond that. I grinned while texting back affirmatively to both, glancing at my family, particularly my father. Health conscious, semi-retired mother discovering her own passion. Willow,
exuding confidence upon her own feet.
I discerned a significant truth, at times.
Fleeing is not escape often involves establishing sufficient distance for individuals to develop into their true selves. Gibson and his father raised their glasses to the daughters who enabled them to discover their own paths.
Willow incorporated into healthy boundaries. My mother gently remarked as I raised my glass, gazing at these known yet unfamiliar individuals who had transformed into the family I had always aspired to have. New beginnings. And this time I sincerely intended.